Agents are tough, right? The agents changing behaviors in this industry. Whoa, I might as well beat my head against the wall. But
Yeah.
watching the buyer come in and seeing what's happening in real time with big software companies screaming to the mountains from the mountaintops saying people want to engage initially through software to get to the professionals. And that's what I
Yes.
thought initially for a long time. Like, that makes sense to me because there's a lot of options out there. I want to engage and then be able to be introduced to people through that technology, learn about them, then be able to contract them going forward. So that ties into everything we're doing.
Welcome back to the Massive Passive Cash Flow Podcast. I'm Gary Wilson, your host, and I'm so glad to have you back listening to the show or watching if that's the case on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, you name it. Plus, it's on 30 some odd channels. Whatever one you're on is fine with me. We're got a great guest today, Brad Binder. He's up in Cleveland, Ohio, where I just was last week for an event that he was sponsoring with some other folks that I know from the business. So it was a great day, great lunch, great dinner. We had a heck of a time. Well, what I recognize is, guys, Brad is definitely head and shoulders above most other lenders you will come across. And you're going to know that when you listen to this podcast. So this is one you definitely want to take notes on. If you can't do that because you're driving, don't worry. Just look at the show notes later. So first off, Brad, thanks again for hosting such an awesome event last week. And thanks for joining us on the podcast. Mhm.
Thank you, Gary. I appreciate it. It was crazy. It was stressful with school being canceled the morning of, and
Oh, yeah.
it's just the curveballs that happen in day to day life. But I couldn't be more honored to be on the show here, and looking forward to having a good discussion here.
You got it, man. So what I thought we would do is, I know you're in Ohio, but I also, we talked about this. You can lend in other locations too, but let's talk about the environment first, the lending environment, the real estate environment. We all know fundamentally, as you raise interest rates, it kind of dampens demand a little bit, but there's still the un how do you qualify the shortage of housing? How does that affect supply and demand? I mean, everybody's just learning as we go, I guess, but kind of give us your 2 cents on that. And if you don't mind sharing, like, how did you actually get into it? What was the like? I started off wanting to be a NASA astronaut, and here I am now, doing what I'm doing here. Fill us in. People love hearing these stories, man. It's a great way to teach too.
Well,
Mhm.
I grew up born in Ohio, moved to Denver at a very young age. Ended up staying in Denver until I was about 17. My mother was a flight attendant for Continental back in the hub days out in Denver, Colorado. My father's side of the family was out in Cleveland, heavily involved in the home building community.
Mhm.
So I was kind of raised into that on the father's side, as I was able
Mhm.
to travel for free from 6 years of age on by myself from Denver to Cleveland back and forth to visit the family on this side. It was really kind of integrated and embedded within that culture, because it's a certain personality that this business attracts,
Mhm.
right? Whether that's
Yep.
home building, real estate, mortgage, whatever the case may be, there's certainly a common denominator with most that I've run into, and it just always gravitated towards it. I was in school. I was, a cell phone salesman, powering myself through Tri-C Community College, and
Mhm.
I got a gentleman that became a mentor. Kept coming back, kept coming back every Saturday. Just kept coming back. I don't know what he was after, Gary, but he finally let it out. He said, "Listen, I want you to come to my shop," and this is back in the 2001
Mhm.
days, and introduced to the brokerage world. Which was more like a boiler room in my early 20s. So that was kind of fun at that time, right? But
Yep.
I really started learning the business from a granular perspective,
Mhm.
because when all else is equal, whether that's customer service, answering the phone, what have you. Let's pretend that there's an even keel across the board competitively. Well,
Mhm.
how am I going to differentiate myself? I'm going to differentiate through know-how and structuring and getting deals done,
Mhm.
right? Having
Yep.
connections with the underwriting department, having that relationship with the underwriting department, cultivating those relationships so that it wasn't operations for sales, yada, yada, yada. So
Mhm.
fast forward 17 years down the line and doing 90% purchase business, new build, new construction, making my bones in the community banking space, and doing high volume for a myriad of types of individuals, consumers. I really kind of came to the point where I was capped. Right, the
Yep.
community bank wouldn't help me scale with support. I lost all my hair. I wasn't willing to lose what little I had left, but I wanted
Mhm.
to do more. And I saw a business that was very antiquated in a number of its approaches, and a customer experience that never got better. So
Okay.
I really dove into what is now Ask Local 3 years ago, seeing the writing on the wall from a lending perspective, and here I
Mhm.
am today with what I believe is a fun, viable product for the real estate market that is ever so evolving.
Awesome. Well, what is Ask Local? I mean, I saw it last Thursday, and it's on your hat right now. And I have a kind of a high level idea, but for the people who don't know, they may have never heard of it before.
I'm sure they haven't because it is brand new, and I've kept it close to
Yeah.
the chest in the wee hours of the morning building this thing with software developers and all the fun stuff that goes behind it. So it
Mhm.
is a marketplace. It's a tool that allows you to cast a wider net, invite a prospective client into an ecosystem that aligns all stakeholders involved in a real estate process, and it does so in a
Okay.
very consumer friendly, dare I say, kid friendly approach. Where in the
Mhm.
ever introverted world, we uh, no one wants to really hear the pitch, right? They want the value.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
thinking from a mortgage perspective, I'm like, how can I show my value day one? Nobody wants to talk to me, right? They prefer not to
Mhm.
until they're forced to, even though I think I'm a likable guy. No one really wants to talk to me until they really have to. How do I give the consumer, the client, the perspective, the resources to come in on their own time in a secure fashion with curated
Mhm.
information that eliminates all the noise of web search, right? So I can Google search a bunch of stuff. I can get 9 different answers to the same question on the first page, right?
Yeah.
And so then it got deeper and deeper. So Ask Local is a simple platform that agents, appraisers, mortgage lenders can vertically integrate into and use it as a client relationship management tool, and not in the sense of a CRM, because that's a dirty word in my mind. Where
Yeah.
no, that is not what this is in any way, shape, or form. But this is a customer engagement tool, and
Mhm.
it's a conversion tool, right? So it's to show your value, highlight that local professional, i.e., Ask Local.
Yeah.
Highlight that local professional as the one that they should be doing business with, and giving these local communities, right? So, like working Northeast Ohio with First Commonwealth, First Federal Lakewood, you were very well known in the immediate suburbs of Cleveland, but anything outside of that, good luck, because it's community. But what great
Right.
product! If I can take that same great product and scale it out to maybe underserved areas, maybe other areas that absolutely need it, that are used to higher price mortgage loans with brokerages, correspondence, whatever it might be,
Yeah.
but give something more simple. Even though I'm very long winded, it is a very simple tool to give to empower agents and consumers alike.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. Um, I'm going to actually make an introduction for you. For all the podcast listeners listening in there a second, it's actually something you should be aware of too if you're listening. It's a group called Independent We Stand, and it's a marketing. I guess it's a business, but they have an angle where they promote and help local businesses. And businesses, even big, they actually, one of their clients was Still, it's STIHL, the chainsaws and all that,
Nope.
because they never wanted to go the big box route with Lowe's and what's the other one? I can't draw on a blank now, but
Depot. Yep. 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 I'm
Home
with you.
Depot.
Yep.
Yep, where of course, they carve out a lot of profit to do that. They do it strictly independently on their own. So, but I know the owner of the company. We're college buddies, so I'm going to introduce you, man, because I think this would be huge, particularly for people in our industry all over. I
That
mean, not just the U.S., but I mean Canada. We're obviously a lot alike.
it
So,
could be. Yeah, it's a great, this is a spider web of great people, right? And
yeah,
providing a great customer experience isn't always the simplest. So being able to leverage technology in the right areas to empower those
yeah,
ancillary service providers,
yeah,
I see big things on that front. But it's exciting for sure, Gary. It's very
yeah.
exciting.
Well, what's interesting is, I interview a lot of people, and sometimes I'll attract people like have an engineering background, computer science. Like I've got a computer science background, but it's not just the luck of the draw. I mean, we don't know who we're going to get sometimes, like we don't know their background until we interview them. But it's not like you have a technology background, but you're very comfortable with technology and you have the idea and you know that you can, if you connect with the right people, you can get this done. You can get this designed and developed. That's what I like of it. It came out loud and clear last Thursday. I thought you'd have been great in the IT industry too, but thank goodness we got you in the real estate industry, So,
Well, thanks,
um,
Gary. I'll take that. I love that. Let me tell
yep,
you, when I started about three and a half years
yep,
ago, I didn't know. I never used a CRM before. Like I
yep,
had just converted over to the iPhone and thought I was, but then you
yeah,
start taking some deeper looks, which starts on GoDaddy all the way up to working with people on the other side of the world
hmm
to develop code, to build the code and integrate the softwares with the open APIs, yada yada yada. It was a crash course. And it was
hmm
a fun crash course and it was a costly crash course, right? Because
yeah,
I'll be the first to tell you, I did more wrong than I've ever done right. But you don't
yeah,
learn until when it costs time and money.
right,
It's a hell of a learning lesson, right? And you got to sometimes dig under the brick wall. You got to sometimes break through it. Sometimes you got to go around it. You don't know what the heck is going to be coming your way, but I'm very
right.
proud of the fact that we stayed diligent to the overall vision of what we were trying to do, because it certainly wasn't an easy path, but here we are, created something that is really actually very simple, which was very hard
Yeah.
to create.
We're probably going to touch on a couple of different subjects, but sticking with Ask Local for a bit. So can you describe like an example, like like a local real estate agent who works with maybe they do commercial, but either way they like working with investors. I know there's repeat business, things like that. So you got a lender involved, title company involved, inspectors, appraisers, I mean attorneys, everything. It's just a whole myriad of people. Um, so what's a good example or or like a commercial for Ask Local,
So
if
I
you
would
want to
say,
look at it that way.
when you look at it from a macro perspective, the
Mhm,
transaction, the initial engagement into the idea of buying or selling real estate, whether that be residential or commercial, the overall
mhm,
thought of it can be overwhelming, right?
mhm,
A lot going on. So one foot in front of the other,
mhm.
one foot in front of the
Yep,
other. And
yep,
really, what that does is people like to know where they are now and
mhm,
what's required down the line. They
right.
don't want to have to call you every time. You know what I mean? Or maybe you're busy, whatever. Yeah, and the customer
Mhm,
is turned off by that. There's so many variables involved with that. So,
yeah,
AskLocal has created a roadmap, timed
mhm,
and assigned steps within that roadmap for these ancillary lines of business to keep
mhm,
everyone on the train track through that customized point of inception to
mhm.
closing and beyond customer experience. The
Awesome.
customer has that roadmap to then use the technology, the curated information to read, learn more, engage with very easy to use tools to better understand and digest
Mhm,
information. And then it's all backed by that ancillary line of business professional should the borrower or prospective client need more engagement. So it's really one foot in front of the other, Gary, is what I'll
yeah.
say that, right?
Does it now? Do you on the it's an app on your phone, I guess, or
Yeah,
is it also
iOS.
on
Yep.
desktop?
Yeah, iOS and Android approved, and it's a cloud based. So,
Excellent.
yep. My day to day as a wholesale mortgage brokerage is
Mhm,
every morning wake up about 6 o'clock, get the kids out of bed, cook them breakfast, and then I get my cup of Joe and I look at my cloud based dashboard, and I'm able to see all my prospective and active clients, and I can see exactly where each one is. I know that the
yep,
client, most importantly, is engaged in it. So they have any questions, I'm alerted when I'm on the move. There's a lot of bells and whistles, like e-signs, virtual
mhm,
meetings. I mean, there's a ton of jewelry on this thing, but the most important thing is everyone knows where we are in real time, and that
right.
eliminates that finger pointing game. That if
Oh,
you're
yeah.
in this business long enough, it's the nature. You like I mortgage. I can't tell you how many escrow officers blame me, whether right or wrong.
Yep,
How many escrow officers have blamed me? Whereas now it's just it can't happen. So
yeah,
nor can we miss dates, because these things go bing 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 if somebody's messing up or messing up,
yeah,
right? Not meeting the timeline. So anyway, please, yeah,
yeah.
that's a good.
Did you know that you can participate in class every Monday? We call it Monday Night Live, 7 p.m. Eastern, with me and dozens of other investor agents from around the country, in fact, the world, every Monday, totally free. No selling, no recruiting, just straight up education on anything and everything in real estate. And we have a lot of good guests coming on once or twice a month, bringing in expertise on subjects like how to buy a house with crypto. Okay. How about them apples? What about AI? How's AI affecting our business? How about the metaverse, blockchain processing? We're already using it in title work. So come on to Monday Night Live, be ready to take notes and ask questions because it's live and engaging, and you get to participate by asking questions and meeting others. So we'll see you there. Go to GaryRealEstateWithGaryWilson.com, click on the resource tab, drop down, and you'll see Monday Night Live. And in there, you can see one of the most recent classes. But more importantly, you can register for class as many as you want going up to like the end of the year, I believe. So in any case, do that. We'll see you on Monday Night Live. Look forward to meeting you in person. Take care. Yeah. Now, do you so you can put the contacts under. Now, do you actually create a transaction? Let's say you have a loan request coming through for 123 Main Street. Um, it's coming from either the realtor representing the client or the client themselves, and they'll say, "Hey, Gary Wilson said I should use you to get my loan for this." Do you create a transaction at that point,
Yep.
or okay,
Yep.
right? And then you add the contact. So as you go from getting the contract written and agreed to for the purchase, then you give the contract to the lender so they can see. And then of course do due diligence on the borrower, the buyer, and then eventually it goes to title. So then you add the title contact, and now the agent can each person add to the transaction. Like they can add the inspector to get a home inspection. They can add the appraiser.
Well,
Okay.
that's what's a great question, and that's what's beautiful as we grow this marketplace of ancillary vendors out, where we can vet these individuals as being responsive and responsible. You can literally pull these individuals in real time. So as you're
Yeah.
going through that roadmap, and you're saying, "Hey, John Doe and Jane Doe, it's time for a home inspection." Now, John and Jane, their job, whatever I said, they don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know who
Mhm.
what a home inspector is. Who let's say
Right.
90% of them have no clue what to. Okay, I'm going to invite with first name, last name, email address, that home inspector into this digital concierge.
Right.
And we're going to watch. The client's going to have personal and confidential, the ability to correspond with that person from their dashboard. And then we know when it's scheduled. The report of the inspector can be uploaded into this timeline so that it's
Okay.
all there for everyone to use. Should be, the buyer be willing to share it. Same thing
Yeah.
goes with pre-approvals, commitments, appraisals, on down the line. It's a beautiful thing to watch when
Mhm.
especially on these 2 week closings. Like people want to move
Oh
fast.
yeah.
That's how you're winning in a competitive market. Sometimes is you need to close
Yeah.
fast, and when it makes it so much more seamless and eliminates that time suck.
Yeah. Well, what's cool too is obviously the consumers on here as well, right? The client, the
And
user
that
client.
Yes, sir. And that was the biggest thing where I was like, oh God, what if the user doesn't like it? And the biggest like agents are tough, right? The agents changing behaviors in this industry. Oh, I might as well beat my head against the wall. But
Yeah.
watching the buyer come in and seeing what's happening in real time with big software companies screaming to the mountains from the mountaintops saying people want to engage initially through software to get to the professionals. And that's what I
Yes.
thought initially for a long time. Like that makes sense to me because there's a lot of options out there. I want to engage and then be able to be introduced to people through that technology, learn about them, then be able to contract them going forward. So that
Yeah.
ties into everything we're doing.
Yeah. All right. So this is getting good. So really, at the end of the day, transparency is actually delivered through the technology, and it's like 100%. You can't. There's nowhere to hide. And here's what's crazy about this. If you just look at any real estate transaction, the other than the consumers, the buyer and the seller, the main players are the agent because nothing happens till something's sold, the lender because nothing gets sold unless it can be funded, and a title company to do the actual escrow work. And unfortunately, a lot of stuff ends up falling in the title company's lap. They always it's funny they get the end of the day are like it's their fault. It doesn't matter what happened the last 30 days. It's their fault. But what's funny is the title companies they're only go-to person. Well, it's the lender. We're waiting on the lender. It's like I've heard this thousands of times over the last 30 years. But this actually, everybody can see who's on there and what the status. So if somebody's waiting on a home inspection, The home
That,
inspector is going to, hey, wait a second, I got it. I thought I sent it in, but here you go. I
yep.
mean, this is going to solve so many problems and avoid a lot of, it's just going to make it smoother, cleaner, more transparent. And I guarantee you, our industry is going to improve dramatically as a result of this. So I'm just excited. I can't wait to. I know you showed it. You were alluding to it last week when we had the teacher had to teach, obviously, and then you showed us up on the board. I was like, man, this is. I knew that I was like, I got to get this guy on a podcast. So
I'm blushing over here, Gary. So
yeah,
thank you very much. No, I appreciate that. It does make it makes it easy. And
yeah,
winning trust in today's skeptical world is
mhm.
ever increasingly difficult, right?
Oh
Um,
yeah,
so proving I believe the fastest way to trust is being transparent. Well,
yeah,
here's a perfect way to do that. And instead of chewing on the ear, send them an invite.
yeah.
And I'm seeing it firsthand. So I'm looking forward to getting it out there.
Well, I'm going to issue a challenge to all the real estate agents out there and the consumers, people. If you're looking to buy or sell a house, or you're looking to invest in a piece of property, make sure you ask your agent about this. And for all you agents, I'm putting your clients on notice to require you to have this app, because if you're like me, I mean, I've owned hundreds of properties over the years, and the reason I started a title company, an appraisal company, and a property management company, I got tired of everything being scattered, and it was like I had to manage everything, you know. And I'm the freaking owner. I'm the investor. I shouldn't be managing all these other entities. So this solves that. That's why for me it's such a personally important thing, because I wish I had thought of this myself, but I'm glad you did, because you get all the goodies, and we'll have a lot of fun hanging out together in fun places around the world
I
celebrating.
love it. I'm all about it, Gary. You tell me when and where, my
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Uh, most of my business is in a residential world, although we do commercial too. I used to have a brokerage that had a commercial division, and we actually did quite well. I mean, it was surprising, but it was only because I already had contacts. I already knew people that were building, mid-rise and high-rise and developing land, and it just the luck of the draw. It wasn't like I was born with all this. It just when people, I always tell people, you know what? My story is a little bit like Forrest Gump. I'm not saying I'm Forrest Gump, but the right people showed up at the right time, saying the right thing. It's just the way my life's been. I've had some huge crisis moments, believe me. I mean, catastrophic things that I wouldn't wish on anybody. But the good fortune is far outweigh the bad fortune. It usually shows up like introduction like this, like meeting you. I'm like, holy crap, man, this could be really. So remember, agents and consumers alike, you need to ask for this. And if they just Google Ask Local, is it Ask, if they go online? What's the
It's asklocal.com.
okay?
Very simple site. Agents, you can request one-on-one demos with me as we
Mhm.
grow. Obviously, I'm going to have to backfill that a little bit, but
Yeah.
then consumers, you have the ability to go in and really build. The whole concept is build your Ask Local certified team. So
Mhm.
as we bring agents on as preferred partners, they get their own virtual storefront within that
Mhm.
domain for the search for that ancillary need, right? So
Mhm.
then that gives the user direct access to what we call our digital concierge, which are
Okay.
those roadmaps in that portal. So
Right.
then if anyone activates, I get notified that they're looking for a mortgage, and I can engage in a much more kid friendly medium, right? So yeah,
Right.
it's exciting because it's this one big. I always think of infinity, right? And it's always trying to close that loop, and that's what I think.
Yeah.
With the lines of the lines of business and the professionals behind them, it's going to make it very simple and eliminate a lot of inefficiencies and stresses that weren't really necessary.
Right. Well, it's an awesome concept. So as far as functionality, obviously you can load contacts, contact information. If somebody has again, like a pre-approval letter or an inspection report, they can upload it there because it's all in the cloud. So it's not like it's taking up your bandwidth on your phone or on your computer. Um, and then, so I'm trying to think of anything else that my followers are going to be thinking and asking. We have a lot of engineers, by the way. We have a lot of pilots, a lot of engineers, a lot of dentists, teachers, military. Um,
I would
let's
imagine
see.
those people will appreciate something like this. Yes,
Oh my gosh. Oh
yes.
yeah. Especially, you'd be surprised. Pilots. I mean, they're really smart, and they're driven, they're aggressive, and they have chunks of time off. They'll fly for a
Mhm.
short period of time, then they have several days off, and they like to stay active. I know pilots that get into the jewelry business, and real estate course is big for them. Um, but they're also busy, and they're comfortable with technology, and they're also decisive. You know, so this is a perfect match for those guys, man. Holy smokes. Engineers alike. Engineers make great investors. I mean, they'll take a lot of time up at first. They're going to ask a lot of questions. They're going to do a lot of analysis, due diligence. But once they start pulling the trigger, that learning curve is done one time. They just
Yeah.
are off and running, man. Let me tell you, you know.
Yeah, break
So
that ice, right? Break that ice,
yeah,
and they're good. They're the best
yeah,
clients in the world. Yeah, so absolutely, couldn't agree more with what you just said.
yeah. Um, I'm trying to think if who else would you know, I can hear some in the back of my head. Not the agents and not the lending officers and not the title officers, but their bosses, like the owners, like the title agent, for example, in a title office. They have the license to sell title insurance for American Title, for example. Those people, I'm gathering we might need to get their input. It's like transparency. Here's an example. I love transparency. Texas is known for being a pretty solid red state politically, but in business terms, they're actually a non-disclosure state. So in real estate transactions and data gathering, it's actually not as easy as it is in California. That's considered a blue state. You
Interesting.
know, so things like that, we may need to have. I keep saying we. You may need to,
Oh,
have the.
let's keep going with the we. I like it. Let's go.
There you go. But the tech, well, the tech guys, maybe because we have the software to know where somebody is. We know what location is, and we can say, okay, this is Texas. Boom. Here's we got to bring. We got to use the criteria for Texas. Boom. Got to use the criteria for California. But I think right now, I'd say where you are, then maybe the 7 states where you do, if it's 8 or 9, I can't remember, but wherever you do business, get those nailed down, um, with the brokerage owners, like the real estate industry, because they'll know, hey, this is actually, you probably already know yourself, right? You probably know what's deemed public information versus private information, and because well, actually, let me ask you this. So in a transaction, is each transaction a closed ecosystem? Like if you or I are on there with
So
the yeah,
yes,
go ahead.
yes. No, I'm so sorry. Yes, it is. So you
Okay.
have rights based on your user, like what type of user you are within that particular roadmap. So anything from a
Okay.
mortgage perspective is zoned off and protected from anybody else viewing this, because obviously we don't
Okay.
need the realtor, the insurance provider, the home inspector seeing. So
Right.
qualifying credit criteria, right? And personal user data. So
Yep.
and then with regard to states and IP, that when the IP comes in, that's part of the ProFinder tool in the background within AskLocal that we built out. That as
Mhm.
we grow this thing across the nation, knock on wood, where the IP comes into play, the user comes in, they're in Austin or California or Denver. Well, it's going to bring up the user base in that particular area and automate the roadmaps, the title commitments and requirements associated with that particular area. So,
Okay.
to kind of speak back real quick on something I'd love to touch on is, going through these processes, the title company's pain is always, I can't get the client to do this or that, or I can't get the agent to provide this or that, or I can't do that. Like I'm missing something. Title has a short time to provide a lot of information and do a
Yep.
lot of stuff. Your title, like better than anybody. So
Yep.
being able to vertically integrate into a roadmap where we don't move on to the next step until that step is done, and everybody
Gotcha.
along the way is being binged when it's not being done. Well, that title order form is done in real time. That escrow letter is provided in real time. It's all shared privately. So yeah, sorry to circle back, but I thought about that,
Yeah.
and it makes
Yeah.
a world of difference. So yeah,
Yeah.
I've lost what I was
Well,
talking about, Gary. Sorry.
that's okay. Well, I appreciate the fact that you guys are, as I'm thinking of my formulating the question, I realize, wait a minute, you're already in industry. You already know about this stuff. And I'm sure there's guidelines you have to follow, just like the title company and the brokers and everybody
Absolutely.
else.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is really good stuff. I know we're going to run out of time probably pretty quickly here, but so what is how can people get a hold of this? Can they go online on their laptops? Does it have to be from their phone, or And
Yeah, it can be from wherever. I think agents, the best use case to really get into it and understand it, it's very simple. I've spent a lot of time on making it a very small lift from the real estate community, right? I want the technology to do what it does. And then when that individual is needed, they can engage and answer questions in real time. So
Mhm.
really for the agents that are interested in this, or the broker owners, anybody out there that's looking to potentially partner, I would recommend going to asklocal.com and setting up the AskLocal
Okay.
approach Calendly, right? And then we could talk synergies and see what's there. From a consumer perspective, you just go right into the same place and look, it's looking to buy or sell in the top right. And then there'll be a call to action to build your certified team. If you want to take a peek at what mortgage looks like inside the marketplace, first and foremost, we can
Yeah.
do that. And the beauty of that, Gary, is nobody's like being alerted and alarmed to start calling you and texting you and emailing you.
Right.
It's the opposite.
Yeah.
That we come in
Yeah.
when we need. I'm going to provide from the Ask Local Mortgage's perspective. We're going to provide that wholesale rate in the form of a total cost analysis, which goes
Mhm.
out to you, Gary, in a live link.
Mhm.
They click the live
Yeah.
link, and from a single pane, they can see 4 different types of mortgage options side by side from a single
Okay.
pane. So it's all about proactive education without the sales, and
Right.
without the gotchas. You know what I mean? And that's what
Yeah.
we believe is going to resonate with the new audiences as we go forward.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I tell you what, uh, the guy I'm going to introduce you to, Bill, his name is Bill Burnell. I'm actually going to be seeing him in 6 weeks. Every year we all get together for the NCAA
Awesome.
basketball tournament kickoff.
Awesome.
We run a house at the beach, and it's we're been a long
That,
time since we were in college, but we never grew up, so yeah, we still do the
that
same
sounds
stuff.
fabulous. That
It's
sounds amazing.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'll do that. And then now, for everybody listening, make sure you go to globalinvestoragent.com or realestatewithgarywilson.com. Either way, you can find out Monday Night Live what the schedule is, and you can register for class. Remember, class is free, 100%. We're not selling anything, we're not recruiting anybody. It's straight up education, information, and networking, just like we're doing right here on this podcast. And you can be on there and I want you to, because March 3rd, Monday, March 3rd, Brad is going to teach a class, so it's going to be live and interactive and engaging. So even if you're a consumer and you're thinking about buying a house or selling a house or investing, come to class because you can use this tool. And think of it as, I mean, this is going to catapult your business and make it so much easier by having this tool in your tool belt. For everybody listening, just replay that part, get the link, go register for a class, make sure you're there, and go visit asklocal.com. Get the information there too in the in time. And by the way, we didn't even talk about the fact that I'm sorry, Brad is a damn good lender too. I mean, I've watched what he was doing. I was in the room with these people, right? Consumers, other agents are like, you can't imagine. So, and I've been in this business a while, and known a lot of lenders in all 50 states and 3 Canadian provinces. And if you know me, you know the podcast is the first time I've done one like this. So that's consider that a 100% gold standard endorsement. So if you're looking to borrow money, and Brad, I know that right now you're not in all the states, but there's ways you can participate and help them, even if you're still growing in a particular state, right?
100% accurate. So we're small, right? We're now in 7 states, but the idea
Mhm.
is I have relationships with FDICs that have
Mhm.
wonderful mortgage product. And I know
Mhm.
this may sound cliche and corny, but it is truly about serving you, the consumer. So
Mhm.
I don't, we don't need to monetize everything. But we start building a use case. I want to go into that state so we can do it for the client rather than the
Okay.
competition. But no, of course, we have great lenders in every area. Wherever we can serve it, you'll find out real fast that we lead with our best foot forward from that perspective. We have an underwriting liaison, so a DE certified underwriter that has been converted and kind of molded into the liaison of getting you pre-approved and then guiding you from application to closing. So
Okay.
what's resonated with people out there is, again, loan officer is a certain, and I'm one, so I'm not
Mhm.
casting shade at the loan officer community. I'm just saying we are
Right.
a certain breed, And some people don't like that breed, whether so the idea of dealing with someone that is operationally sound and there to truly help and know that they're not being compensated to lead you down a certain way, like you start removing some of these layers and ensuring that customer first approach.
Yeah.
I think it's going to help us along the way.
Awesome. Well, listen, Brett, I really appreciate you doing this. Thanks again for joining us, and thanks to all the listeners. And if you're watching it on video too, that's even better. So remember, you can come to class Monday Night Live every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern. And we're gonna have Brad on March 3rd. So make sure you're there. This tool, I've got a feeling it's gonna spread fast right now. And right now, Brad, they can just get it. There's no cost, right? You haven't gotten to that point, right?
We're really trying to find the right partners first, right?
Gotcha.
We do believe the foundation that we've set, we know what we have, but we want to listen to the right partners too to continue to evolve it.
Right.
And we want to stay small and nimble and be able to pivot in real time. And that's going to be our competitive edge against the monster players out there that are going to eventually try and replicate what I'm doing, Gary, but they're not going to be able to.
Hey, here's what's cool about business. When you're first in, that's where you want to be. You want to be first. But what's even better, you got a new category. This is a new category. If you're first in the first category, you're set. Everybody else will never ever be able to catch up. And I shouldn't say it that way, but it's true. I've been around long enough to know the people that catch up are catching up because somebody's already created the category. They're just coming and copying what they did inside the category. You created the freaking category. Nobody could ever duplicate that or copy it. It's yours. I mean, and winners want to go with winners. Winners want to play with winners. Winners want to be with people who are first because they want to be first. So I'm happy for you.
Hey, listen, anytime you want me to do this with you and you think I'll take that in, my friend. That means a lot. And I truly, sincerely, and humbly appreciate those words, because this has been a hell of a grind, but here we are and we're ready to go.
You got it. So, well, listen, everybody, take care of yourselves. God bless you and your families, and we will see you on the next Massive Passive Cash Flow podcast. Don't forget, please leave a review. We need those reviews. That's what keeps the podcast world around. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Massive Passive Cash Flow. Be sure to go to realestatewithgarywilson.com to join our community and start building wealth today.